Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my show. Sorry, I'm getting myself situated here. Welcome to Campfire Discussions with Brandy, and today we are talking about some pretty serious stuff. Hi Kelly, hi Sapat. As you can see, there are comments on the screen, so please comment and send in your concerns, your questions, anything you'd like to say or add to the show. It really helps me. I really love seeing the engagement here whenever I'm doing my show, especially when it's just me. And yes, Sapat, there might be some echoing. We've got a lot of new equipment, a lot of new things going on in our studio. So sometimes the sound will be a little bit different, and we're working on it. So if there's echoing, sorry about that. It's a much bigger studio now with a lot more space to echo off of. So anyways, we were working on that. As you'll see, each week we'll get better and better. Hi, Mom. My mom's here too. Welcome to the show. So today, there's a lot I want to say. We, not just personally, we've seen some friends go through things, but we also, as I'm doing my research, when we talk about kids a lot, we've been talking a lot about kids and how that affects. Joel, take care of the echo because they're commenting like crazy about it. I'll see if my producer can fix that. I don't know if it can be fixed, but we'll see. So we're talking about kids, what they're going through.
I don't have the echo on this side.
Okay, so producer says he doesn't hear echo on his side, so it might just be, I don't know. We'll see. But bear with us as our sound is getting better and better, and like I said, we're getting new equipment, new changes, lots of things happening. So, Ricola, okay. I'm sorry guys about the echo. There's not much I can do from this side. So if it's a big problem, I apologize. We will see what we can do. And that's all I can say about that. But I'd like to move on from that. So we talk about. I talk about kids a lot. I talk about what they're going through. And we talk about the things happening in our country, the way the schools are acting, the way the grooming and all those things happening. And today I wanted to talk about our justice system, our civil and criminal area, especially Oregon, but also around the country. There's a lot of things happening, and the system seems pretty broken to me. And as I'm doing and digging into this research, I'm finding some things that are pretty crazy. And I'm learning some stories. I mean, I have like probably 25 stories in my notes that I wanted to tell you guys about. And obviously, I'm not going to get to all those stories. But it's insane what people are going through because of whether it's false allegations or actually they're a victim of a crime and they're fighting the system to just get them protection and get them okay, and then those that aren't those that aren't victims of a crime but are putting out false allegations, it seems like the system is works for them. And then you have those that are true victims the system isn't working for, and then you have those that are victims of false allegations that are having to fight like crazy. It's just a really messed up system. Before I get to that, I wanted to talk about something I witnessed today. So I went with a friend of ours to the Estacada High School. Her son is being enrolled. He was in online school last year, and this year he's going back to the public high school. And we had to go to the counselor's office and talk to the counselor about getting him set up for his classes. And I was just there. I like to help out, and I'm there for my friends when they need me. So I was there, and I was shocked at what I saw. Here in small town Estacada, our high school, one of the high school counselors, his office door had everything you could think of. Oh, I can hear myself in the producer's office. Sorry about that. He had a BLM flag. He had a pride flag. It said safe space here. And I'm looking at the books that he had, and he's got feminist books and non-binary books and the DSM-5 book that talks about psychology, and then he's got all this stuff that is it's just like it felt like a groomer's paradise in there. Luckily, our friend's son is got a really good head on his shoulders, and he saw what I saw, and we talked about it afterwards, and you could tell he was prepared for that. But it was just a shock to me to see that in our own small town high school. It's really sad. Comments. Okay, thank you, Kelly. Hi, Carissa. How are you? It was good. It's good to see you on here. The school, so much pandering. There's horrible corruption from the left. Yes. Better now. So I guess the echo's better now, I hope. I would hope so, because all of your comments about it distract me. And then I got to figure out where I'm at. Okay, so hopefully that's good. We will move on from that. So today, I wanted to read you a few things about some other stories some people are going through. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what I've witnessed in my research, and also some plans I have for my future that are kind of intertwined in what I'm talking about tonight. So, false allegations. This happens a lot, right? Typically, what you see is a civil situation happening, and the female thinks that she has a better upper hand if she alleges that there's abuse or sexual abuse or some sort of abuse. We saw that with the Johnny Depp trial and Amber Heard. It took him 6 years to finally tell his story, to finally talk about what happened to him, and he was silent for a long time, and people realized that he was telling the truth, and it was really good to see him get that justice. The fact that it took that long is really frustrating. The fact that our system is geared to believe all women, no matter how outlandish, no matter if there's evidence or not, is really frustrating for me. Yes, we want to believe victims, and we want to be there for victims, and I have a unique position because I've seen both sides of this recently. We want to believe all victims, and victims deserve the support, they deserve the help, and they deserve to be treated properly, and those criminals should be taken care of. But there's another side of this. There are people jumping on the bandwagon. They're using this to actually abuse people. They're using this to attack people. And when that happens, it's really, really disheartening. So I did some research, like I said, and I read this article, and it says, when it comes to false allegations, the consequences can be disastrous for the accused. But unfortunately, and here is what I found shocking, it's far too common occurrence. Up to 70% of cases involving allegations of abuse during custody disputes, they are deemed unnecessary or false. 70%. Okay? Am I shocked by that? Not after things that I've seen recently. Is it really disheartening? Yeah, it's really, really disheartening, because not only is it hard for the person that is being falsely accused, but also it's hard because it does damage to those that are true victims, because you have those that are true victims that aren't being believed because of all these false allegations, those that are true victims that are being treated like it's their fault, those that are true victims dealing with this that aren't getting the justice they deserve. And then also the person that's falsely accused is dealing with having to defend themselves against something that never happened. Sapat says she's worried about other kids if they can't see through that. When we were talking about the high school, yeah, I can understand that. And that's why I'm always preaching, talk to your kids, prepare them for this stuff. Clearly, our friend's son is prepared. His parents have talked to him. He knew what to expect. He knows who he is. He's strong in his beliefs, and he knows that that's not true reality. So that's really great. His parents are doing a good job there. Protect your kids, prepare them. If you cannot get them into a Christian school, if you cannot stop them from going to public school, then you have to really protect them. You have to really prepare them. Hi, Connie. Shelby says she agrees. Thank you. Carissa says false accusers of any crime should, in my opinion, get the maximum penalty of the crime they claimed happened. I 100% agree. After seeing the damage that it causes to those that are falsely accused, I wholeheartedly believe that people like Amber Heard, people that make those false accusations, they should be tried for those crimes. There should be jail time, there should be fines, there should be some serious consequences so this stops. Unfortunately, there aren't consequences, and that is one of the reasons why this continues to happen. We're at 70%, people, 70% false accusations. These false accusations are also primarily lobbed against men, okay? A 2011 Stop Abusive and Violent Environments report found that 85% of protective orders are entered against men. And of that 85%, 90% are products of tactical divorce considerations. So what that means is 85% of protective orders are against men. 90% of those 85% against men are used to give them an advantage in their divorce and their custody fight. So think about that for a minute. And before you run off and spread rumors or help perpetuate a narrative, maybe get to know what's going on in a story before you push that narrative, because sometimes, and clearly more often than not, there's a lot more to the story than you think. Thank you. So another thing that's really interesting is it takes minimal evidence to obtain a protective order. If this alleging party wants to obtain a protective order, basically all they need to do is tell the judge that it's necessary. That's it. And since they do this ex parte, the defendant doesn't even get a chance to defend him or herself before they will grant that protective order. And then you go from that protective order to they can contest it, or they can not contest it. But since it's an emergency ex parte, that defendant doesn't even get a chance or an opportunity to explain their side before this order is issued. So not only do you not get to explain yourself before the order is issued, but now you have an order. So regardless of what happens, even if you defend yourself, there's still that order there. It still happened to you. Ex parte means one party, yes. So ex parte means that this person alleging the abuse, asking for the protective order, they are allowed to go before the judge with this paperwork stating what happened, and the defendant has no clue it's happening. They're there in front of the judge to ask for this protective order, and the judge will make a decision whether they will honor that protective order or they will uphold it. They will sign it or they will not, based on what this person is claiming on this paperwork. They can ask questions. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it's issued without the defendant's knowledge. Now, I understand the purpose for this. Because there are victims that need that protection. There are victims that have been, assaulted, terribly assaulted. They've been raped, they've been abused, and they cannot be in the presence of the defendant. They are terrified, or they don't feel safe, and they do need that opportunity to talk to the judge before the defendant knows anything. So I get the purpose, but it also does damage in a lot of ways, and as you can see, 70%. It does damage, and it's not necessary, and these people can lie. I mean, you don't have, how is the judge going to know that they're telling the truth when there's nobody to tell the other side of the story? Domestic violence covers an extremely large scope. So a simple claim that a person feels threatened can be considerable grounds for a temporary restraining order or temporary protection order. Hi, Dorinda. Hi, Michael. Carissa says a neighbor of ours is fighting a protective order that Clackamas County judge threw out, so the woman then went with a completely different story to anoint her to another county, and it was granted. Different claims, different county, different outcome. Interesting. And it's crazy to me to see that happen, and we've seen things happen in with friends of ours or people we know, and it seems like the person making the claims can lie and change the story, and there's no consequence. And that's really frustrating, especially when you have like a timeline of events like you do, Carissa, to show she had a completely different story here, and this county said no because the story wasn't enough to get that order. So then she went and changed the story, went to a different county, and they granted it. I mean, there's no accountability there to show the timeline, to show what happened there. And then by the time the accountability is coming, then they have no way to show that together. And then by the time they've put out that protective order, it's too late, kind of, because even though the defendant has 30 days to contest and they get a chance to fight that, it's still there, right? Exactly. Hi, Rhonda. Rhonda says, my husband had the same thing happen to him. It's so awful. Every story has two sides, but sometimes they only focus on one side. Yes, that's absolutely true. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So before I get into more of this, because I have some really heartbreaking stories to tell you guys about, let's talk about one of our sponsors. We have one of our sponsors is Whitney Signs. They're incredible. We love them. They do so much around town. Not only do they do an amazing job, but they also serve this community. They give back all the time. They're constantly giving back to this community. They're constantly doing what they can to help nonprofits around the area. And also, it's the mayor and his wife. It couldn't get any better than that. And so, check out this video, Whitney Signs. Hi. Okay, we're back. Sorry, I didn't see the, I was trying to fix my earphones and then we had a little freeze there. So somebody said, I think the person making the accusations needs to provide some proof of the abuse they allege happened, be it police records or medical record of it. I agree. I think that's super important. Totally agree, Shelby. What's the maximum penalty for false accusers? How are you? It froze. Yeah, we know. I don't know the maximum penalty for false accusers, but as I was looking into this, and I have more information on this, as I was looking into this, it seems to be really no consequences to false accusers. They kind of just get away with it, which is really unfortunate, and it's really frustrating, which is one of the things we need to stop. Once one of these protective orders is entered, for example, against a father, say you're in a custody case, it forces him out of the home, giving the mother a major advantage when fighting for custody, which is one of the reasons this is used as a advantage. This is used in custody cases so much and so many times it's false. Temporary orders remain in effect until a hearing can be held, which usually takes about 2 weeks, giving the defendant very little time to prepare and to prove their innocence. In many jurisdictions, the defendant is given 2 options at a hearing: agree to the restraining order, even though there was no actual abuse, proceed to an evidentiary hearing to contest the allegations. Those are their 2 choices. Because there is such a low standard of proof in a domestic abuse hearing, agreeing to a restraining order is often considered an attractive option since it at least allows the defendant to continue fighting for custody. So unfortunate. Even false allegations have a long-lasting impact. One of the more unfair aspects of false allegations, especially abuse allegations, is the fact that it doesn't necessarily matter if the claims are eventually proven erroneous, the stigma still follows the accused. And this is a big, big problem. You've got places that are there's small towns like ours where false allegations turn into big rumors, and these rumors turn into it's like the game of telephone. One little thing turns into something completely different, and then those rumors can cause serious damage or even put that person in harm's way, all because this human being wanted to cause problems for this one. Not because that person actually committed any abuse or did anything wrong. They just are mad at them and wanted to take it out against them. And that's really, really, really a horrible thing to do. That's just so frustrating. Even worse is that it hurts those who really need it. Exactly. Like I said before, not only are you hurting this person that's falsely accused, you're hurting those that actually need the justice system to help them, because then they're having to go through extra hoops and they're not being believed because there's so many that lie. Something about a strong penalty so the person would think twice about doing a wrong accusation. There should be a strong penalty for that. I 100% agree. The cost involved to go after false accusers on a legal level is horrible, especially if you had to spend money to prove a person's innocent first. Our system should go after these people. Then maybe if there were consequences, less of these situations would happen. Yes, I agree 100%. So we're talking about the civil aspect, right? We're talking about the restraining order aspect. What happens if somebody is going through this and they're innocent and then all of a sudden they're having to face false criminal charges? Can you imagine going through that? It's unfortunate because a lot of times these things happen because they only do have one side of the story, and that one side, in the case of someone being innocent that's being accused, so that other side is lying clearly. And it's really hard because once they decide to file charges, so it's no longer this wife against husband or ex-wife against ex-husband. It's state against husband or state against wife, whichever the situation may be. There's positives and negatives there. The positive is hopefully, that person's lawyer can show the state, hey, by the way, here's the actual evidence, and maybe they can, dismiss it before it goes further. But there are times when, unfortunately, there are innocent people that have charges brought against them and have to go through this fight, and that's more money, and that's more time, and that's more time away from their children if they have children. That's more time fighting this. That's more negative impact on them. That's more things that they have to fight, all because some asshole decided that instead of doing this the right way and maybe possibly having to share custody or share money or whatever the case may be, or they're just pissed that they got broken up with. Whatever the reasons are, this person can't see past their own nose. So they're so busy trying to damage and hurt this other person that they're not seeing all the damage along the way. They're not seeing that, honestly, if there are children involved, they're hurting the kids more than anything. And it's just awful to see. I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you're talking about this topic. Thank you, Connie. And yes, Carissa, I agree with you on the above comment I read. Michael Smith said, just imagine those people who need to prove their innocence while going through so much. Yes, imagine. And then you've got, okay, so before I read some of these stories of people going through things, and I pulled up a bunch of stories offline about, different situations, different things that are happening for people. But there's a reason I'm so passionate about this. I've started advocating for people. I've been helping, with our nonprofit. I advocate with our nonprofit. I work in the community. But I've noticed I'm moving in the direction of advocating for those that maybe have a disability, like myself, that need a little extra guidance. And that's what I'm working towards. So I think that my passion is in that we have like I said, we have a huge gap in the justice system, in the civil system too. We have a huge gap where, yeah, sure, there's advocates. There's places called A Safe Place and things like that, and they have advocates at the court system. But these advocates aren't really doing what I personally think should be done. They might say, okay, this is the paperwork you fill out, and that's about it. But what about advocates that are actually there emotionally, that actually help lead these disabled people or these people that are having a hard time through the process, help them actually walk with them through it instead of just saying, oh, I'll help you with the paperwork. Some people need extra help, and I'm noticing, what if you are disabled and all of a sudden these false allegations come at you. You have a, you're fighting them civilly, and then all of a sudden you have to fight criminally, and you have all this stuff going on, and then you have your disability on top of that. What do you do then? There's nothing in our system helping those people. And so that's kind of where I'm headed with my passion right now, is trying to find a way to advocate for others and kind of fill that gap. So if anybody knows anything about that and or wants to help me in that mission, reach out to me, because I'm definitely moving in that direction. Right now, it's the state against husbands, even if the husbands have proof. Yeah, it is really awful. Carissa said, kiddos swim lessons are over. I'll watch the rest later. Have a good night. Okay, Carissa, thanks for coming. I really appreciate you for that. Thank you. Not for men, Jay said. You're doing a great job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that, you guys. Before I get to these stories, system sucks. It helps no one. It feels like that, doesn't it? Before I get to these stories, let's talk about one of our other sponsors. We talk about her often, Miss Valerie from the Hitchin Post. She has the best place in town for pizza. And honestly, even if you're not from here, come here to eat our pizza, because Hitchin Post is the best. Check this video out. Okay, we're back. And I just realized how shiny I look. Sorry, guys. It's hot, so, Okay, so I'm going to read some stories to you. And these are stories of actual people that have gone through this. And if it says a name, I'll try to keep the name out. I apologize if I accidentally slip a name. But just so you know, they are online. These people put their own information out there. So I'm not just taking things from something and making, people that are wanting to be anonymous and putting them out there. But I will try to keep their names away from it. Thanks, Joel. Joel, yeah, so shiny and so pretty. Okay. Jay says, if the man is the one abused, there isn't really a place for them that will help them in a way they need it, especially here in Oregon. Yes, and that's another thing I was realizing doing research and then helping people through this. It is really geared towards women. I mean, men are abused too. And I've seen this, and some of the abuse is putting them through false allegations, but men are abused too. And it doesn't feel like there's any places for them. There's so many places for women to go, and to have these advocates and these safe places and these places to help them through this. But there's nothing. I can't find anything for men that are being abused or that need help through these systems. Men are treated as if they're criminals before they even have a chance to tell their side of the story. And it's awful. So thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Joel. And hi, Ladarius. Sorry, I'm trying to read everybody's stuff as we go here. Okay, so, okay, this is a story, quick story real quick before I get into the individual stories. Okay, so there was also this lady, this new thing that came up I saw in the news. She said this is a survivor of a sexual assault. And she said this happened in Oregon. And she said the Oregon sexual assault kit backlog left her case unresolved for 15 years. Waldron, now 30, was just 15 when she reported being sexually assaulted near the Lloyd Center in Northeast Portland on February 3rd, 2007. Her sexual assault kit gathered dust for almost a decade before finally being tested in 2016 as part of a backlog of at least 5,000 untested kits throughout Oregon. The man implicated by the DNA evidence, Ricky Alexander Harrison, is facing a recommended sentence of 5 years and 10 months. 5 years and 10 months. Okay, tell me I'm wrong, but that seems really light. As part of a plea deal, although a judge could decide differently. And she goes on to talk about how this happened so long ago and it took all this time to get her attacker. Waldron is one of the thousands of Oregon women whose sexual assault kits weren't tested until public pressure mounted and Oregon law was changed in 2015 to require uniform testing policies. So now in our time frame, they're tested a lot quicker. There's not that big of a backlog, but until 2015 and this law came out, there was a huge backlog, years and years and years and years of these rape kits that women had to wait decades for their attackers to get any kind of justice against them. The justice system has failed in that area, and this person says she had to learn to live all those years coming to the conclusion that it was never going to be solved. And that's just awful. This guy, Harrison, is already serving a prison sentence of 9 years and 4 months after being convicted of vehicular homicide and reckless driving in King County in 2019. His shorter Multnomah County sentence will run concurrently. So that means he doesn't even get it added on. It's just going to run at the same time he's already in there. So what's the point? I mean, how would you feel as a victim to find this out? Not only is his sentence short, not only did it take 15 years to get him, but now he doesn't have there's no added time. It's just going to continue running the same as if he would have anyways. What a kick in the gut. I mean, oh my gosh. Millie Bobby Brown said men are abused too, but our society doesn't take it seriously at all. Absolutely. Meanwhile, the abusers live free while those kids just sit. Yep. And someone else said, I'm just speechless. Me too. Okay, so here we go. Some real life stories. Other than that one. No justice. That's right. So this is coming. I'm going to read this in the perspective of the person that went through this. So this isn't me speaking. This is someone else speaking. The mother of my son was shot in front of him. We were not together at this time. I was notified later that day and I left work and I rushed to get my son. When I got there, I was told that my son wasn't there by the grandmother and that she would bring them to me. She never did bring him to me. Instead, I've got a call from the police saying he was in protective custody. So I immediately was angry and I wanted my son. I didn't understand what was going on. A week later, a child in need of care case was filed. While the mother of my child was in the hospital, she was approached by DCF, told that if she didn't sign a PFA against me, if she didn't sign a PFA against me, she would never see my son again. Now, this was also their grounds for being able to file the child in need of care for alleged abuse and drug use. The judge ruled default and denied my trial. I appealed that decision and won that appeal, and now waiting to see what happens next. Isn't this illegal on DCF behalf? Maybe possibly perjury? Is there any way that I can sue the hell out of them? Someone please help. Can you believe that? I mean, I've heard some stories about Child Protective Services and DCF, and stealing kids is what they've been saying. And I've seen some evidence that our system is messed up in that place too. They make it seem like this child is endangered. They take the kid and they move them along, and we can talk about it another day of what I think is going on there. We've had some conversations and we'll have more. But that's just awful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm skipping this one because it's really long. Somebody else said, this is another story. I feel your pain. It's the most one-sided, hands tied behind my back fight I have ever been in. I have 5 kids and was unmarried. For all you unmarried fathers, you need to know this. You have no rights to your children. None. You have the right to pay child support, and that's it. You are at the mercy of your ex-girlfriend, and if she is hurt over the relationship and she feels you deserve the same, well, welcome to my world. And the court system will be right there helping her every step of the way. I have not seen my young children in almost 60 days, and I have 2 restraining orders on me, which I have to clear before I can petition for visitation because she feels threatened. To think you love the most in life, the thing you love the most in life, you are separated from. I have no rights, and my ex-girlfriend is judge and jury. Oh man, that's awful. Could you guys imagine that? Oh my goodness. Okay, here's another one. I just found out that my ex put in an order of protection for rape, attempted murder, attempted assault, grand larceny, identity theft, and multiple other horrible accusations that are 100% false. What am I going to do about my job? I have a good job, and I don't know if this could hurt my career. Also, we have a child together. Is this going to stop me from seeing my son? These are questions that are put out on this page of this forum where they just ask people what they might be going through. Osrin says that's so cruel. Richard says, yeah. Bless you too, Adim. Jay says, yep, been there, done that. They make lame excuses to take the kids. Then you are stuck fighting like hell and bending over backwards to appease the courts for years. Unbelievable. I don't even want to imagine that. I don't either. Here's another one, and this one's a little bit long, so I'm only gonna read the important parts, okay? I am accused of 2 charges of DV, which is domestic violence, and 1 charge of aggravated menacing, 1 charge of assault resisting arrest, 5 misdemeanor charges for 1 incident. I was accused of holding a gun to my wife. She told the authorities that I was suicidal and would kill any police that came to my home. All false allegations. All of these accusations come after she is exposed in having an affair. The most interesting part of this is I've only been married less than 1 year. I should have recognized the warning signs along the way, but I didn't. I have protection order against me on a home and vehicles that I owned prior to ever being married. They're 100% mine. I cannot believe that our current legal system does not have any way of bearing out the truth. My life is no longer my own. I've spent thousands of dollars on attorney's fees while she's living in the house that I paid for. I have an efficiency apartment with a $97 Walmart futon and $128 television. My job was lost based on these false allegations, as well as my credibility with coworkers and neighbors. The coup de grace was resisting arrest, hands up in the air, walked back to the police, was not moving around at all, and I was slammed to the ground and punched several times and tased. The neighbors witnessed me surrendering and not resisting. However, I guess the system in all domestic situations needs a full overhaul and checks and balances in place prior to protective order being issued. If all you have to do is tell a lie, to put this much devastation on someone's life and take everything they own, their freedom, all based on a lie. Unbelievable, you guys. Someone said, seriously, what the F is wrong with these people? Really? Yeah. And you know, I've witnessed this myself. I've seen it happen. Like we've said before, to get a protective order, especially if you're claiming abuse, you don't have to have any proof. You have paperwork that you fill out, you make those claims, and if the judge believes those claims and decides that you're telling the truth, they will issue that protective order. No problem. Then you move on to giving that person 30 days to fight it and decide that they want an evidentiary hearing and so on and so forth. But the fact that there's no evidence, there's nothing that has to be presented to get these is kind of scary. And you know, I know the other side too, because I've seen the other side, those that are genuinely a victim, they need these protective orders to be safe. But those that are genuinely victims would have, they typically have a way to show that, right? So it's just crazy to me to see this. There's something that needs to be done. I don't know what that answer is. There's got to be answers, you guys. There's got to be something that can be done. If you don't want to live together, then just separate. Why cheat? And more with that false accuse. I agree. And I don't understand that myself. If you don't want to be together, separate. If you're going to cheat, you might as well separate first, okay? Because cheating's never good. But then you get if you're upset that someone breaks up with you or wants to separate from you, okay, but deal with it as like an adult. Don't take that and then try to destroy their life. I mean, the amount of damage this stuff does to someone is huge. And it's not just them. It's your child that it damages if you have children. It's your entire circle of people that know you both. It's just crazy to me. Why can you not just deal with it as adults and move on and separate and just make it as easy as you can? If you do have children, make it as easy as you can on the child, because that's the most important thing. That's where goal needs to be. That's where the vision needs to be. Someone said she just ruined that guy's reputation, all for false accusations, all because she got discovered cheating in this story. Crazy. Someone else said misuse of restraining orders can even occur outside the context of divorce. In my case, which is a story, not me, but whoever wrote this, my former priest I'm not going to put that name out there. My former priest in Virginia obtained a restraining order against me after falsely accusing me of threatening him. Specifically, he took various words and phrases out of context from a blog written by my mom and babbled on about various irrelevant nonsense, including having criticized him online. His real goal, as evinced by an offer he made to settle, is to shut down online criticism of him. I encourage the public and journalists to visit Virginia Circuit Court to hear the appeal. Should be an interesting example of misuse of a protective order, as well as bad conduct by clergy. Clearly, I need a sip of my drink. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry about this, but my throat is really dry. Joel says, when you make false accusations like that, the court gives you an advantage. They kick you out of your house, keep you from your evidence, block your resources, and make you the criminal, all without trial. Guilty before proven innocent. That's right. That's exactly what happens. Guilty before proven innocent. And our system is not supposed to work that way. They're supposed to be innocent before proven guilty. There's supposed to be evidence without a benefit of the doubt. No doubts. Not one single doubt before treating someone in this way. And unfortunately, because of the system is so broken, people are treated as criminals before there's even evidence to prove that if they are or aren't. Here's another story before we go to our next sponsor. I want to read this story real quick, and then we'll go to our next sponsor. Okay, so this person says, my father has gone through similar things. He and his ex-girlfriend had 3 kids together. About 5 years ago, she was cheating on him, and they broke up. And when she made her new relationship public, she started falsely accusing the father of sexual abuse against the children. Oh, I'm sorry, you guys, before I finish the story. Never, ever use abuse, and especially sexual abuse, as a way to get back, accusations as a way to get back at someone. That is the worst allegation you can throw out there when it's false. That is the worst thing you can do. And I think people that do that deserve jail time. I honestly do. Honestly do. She has made, and back to the story, she has made 7 false allegations and even filed a protective order against him, claiming he threatened to kill her, which is false. Social services kept pushing the kids to try and lie so they could get him arrested. The mother had coached the kids to lie, and even though they found the mother to be lying and coaching the kids to lie, the judges and social services still sided with the mother and were against the father. She tends to not meet her end of the deal when it comes to visitation. So she's blocking this, not only the father, but she's blocking the other parts of the family from these kids, and the system helped her. If I am correct, the number of false allegations she's made over the last 5 years, I believe, is now considered a felony. I'm not that knowledgeable on the law, but it varies from state to state. So she's basically saying, this daughter is saying that not only did this woman keep these kids from the father with these false allegations, but she kept the kids from the rest of the family. Who is that damaging? She's trying to harm that guy, right? She's so angry at that guy. She's going to get him. She's going to false accuse. She's going to harm him. She's going to hurt him in any way possible. She's lost sight of what she's actually doing because she's hurting those children more than anything. Her anger and her vitriol against this guy is aimed at the wrong place. Her anger and her narcissistic, may I say, behavior is harming her own children. I think women that hurt their kids in these situations and use their children and emotionally abuse and play with their emotions and make them choose and put them through this and try to get them to lie, they are the worst, man. They deserve so much punishment. I am so sick of seeing this. Joel says, resume says, but it's working that way anyway. Anyhow, yeah, unfortunately. Joel says, if someone comes claiming to be a victim and they say they live in the house of an abuser, then the victim should be relocated until court date can be had. I agree with that. I think it should happen that way. And instead, the way the system works, if someone is living in a house with the person they claim is their abuser, that abuser is forced to leave immediately without any evidence, without any trial, without anything. They're forced to leave. Regardless of the situation, they're forced to leave. And I think there needs to be done better, because yes, there are true victims out there. I've seen it myself recently, and true victims deserve to be protected, and they deserve to have justice served 100%. But 70% of these are lies. That means something is seriously wrong with our system. That means something needs to be done to fix this, to weed out those lies, to make sure that we're protecting true victims and we're prosecuting true criminals and not the false allegations. 70%. That is huge, you guys. That is a big, big screwed up system, is what I see. Now, I'll read the rest of these comments in a minute, but let's check out our other sponsor, Fiverr. Yes, no, maybe so.
Hi, we're Fiverr, a global marketplace connecting individuals and businesses with freelancers offering thousands of digital services. Graphic design, web development, video editing, e-commerce marketing. You name it, there's a professional freelancer ready to make it happen. Filter your search by the service needed, budget, timeline, and boom! Fiverr provides a list of talented freelancers to meet your specific needs. Always know what you'll pay up front. No hourly rates, just project-based pricing. And because payment isn't released until you approve the work, you can rest assured that you'll be satisfied with the quality and get exactly what you want. Our support team is always available to answer questions or offer assistance when you need it. With the whole world of freelance talent at your fingertips, what might you achieve? Join today and find out. Fiverr. It starts here.
So, Sapat said I can't do that to my husband, accused him of anything like that. I'd rather confess to my faults than accuse him of any false claims just to get sympathy or empathy. I agree, Sapat. Joel said make it a felony and mandatory jail time if you lie to get a protective order. Like that idea. Jay said they do that to protect the victim, but it's backwards. They should place the victim in a safe place with people and safe people instead that can help them. Yes, I 100% agree with you, Jay, and all of you that said that. I could never do that. I'm sorry. First of all, I have an amazing husband. We've been married almost 15 years in December, and he is incredible. He is absolutely incredible. And we've had this conversation so many times. If anything were to happen, no matter how hurt or how upset I am with him, I could never, ever do this to anyone. I couldn't do that to my worst enemy. I have people that like to spread rumors about me. I still wouldn't do this to them. I would never do this to anyone, let alone the person I claimed to love for so long. And I certainly couldn't put my child through that. And these people need to see past their own noses and start paying attention to what's really happening. And I agree. I think someone who is a victim of abuse, true abuse, they want to be protected. They want to be with people that are safe. And I think the best thing to do is to do that. Put them in a safe house. Put them where this person doesn't know where they are. Put them where their attacker or their abuser doesn't know how to get to them and can't get to them, and they're protected. That's a great way to handle that. Joel says I use, wow, Fiverr. Yeah, they're awesome. Joel says he uses Fiverr all the time. Thanks, honey. You're awesome too. And Sapat said the actual sexual assault victims sometimes don't speak up about their situations. Yes, that's true, Sapat, too. A lot of true sexual assault victims don't speak up because they either think it's their fault, or they've been made to believe it's their fault, or they don't want to go through the intense amount of stuff you have to go through. The amount of things that happen when you're assaulted in that way, and the ways to get evidence and the ways to file these reports, and the amount of times you have to tell your story is insane. And it's a hard situation. There's something needs to be done there to make it easier on true victims, but also make it easier to weed out the ones that aren't true victims. we need a lot of changes in our system, you guys. I have another story I wanted to tell you, and then after that, talk about a few things. So here's another story. Someone said, everything you narrated in this article, which is an article I read, which is where these stories came from, is exactly true. I went through terrifying false allegations of domestic violence and child abuse accusations with a temporary restraining order against me, and I didn't get to see or visit with my then 7-month-old daughter for over 6 months before I finally appeared in court and my lawyer and I presented our defense. I was found not guilty of any kind of domestic violence against my ex, and it found me not guilty of child abuse for inappropriate touching of her 17-year-old daughter, as the mother coached her daughter both of the inappropriately touching and the abuse of the mom. So she coached this 17-year-old to lie basically about all this. All charges against me for domestic violence against her and charges against me for child abuse accusations of me inappropriately touching the 17-year-old, they were all dismissed. So that's great. I'm happy for him on that. She asked for a permanent restraining order against me and was denied, and a physical and legal joint custody was granted. Now we have 50% joint custody of our beautiful 19-month-old daughter. Without an experienced criminal defense attorney and a family lawyer, my freedom would have been taken away. Losing my 3 children from my previous relationship that I raised as a single father for the past 11 years before this monster woman and her teenage daughter entered into my life, trying to mess up my life and my children's lives. Thanks to my experienced lawyers for saving my freedom and my children's future. And that is true. These people that are facing these allegations, if they try to go at it alone and they don't have experienced lawyers at their side, they are at risk of losing everything because of some asshole's false allegations. They're at risk of losing it all. And that is horrifying. I'm thankful he had good attorneys, and I hope that anyone that's facing false allegations has good attorneys to help fight their way. It's just awful to think of. Jay said you should see the Reddit thread about sexual assault. The amount of people that know they have been assaulted or are in denial about it and don't report is astonishing. Yes, I think we've talked about this before, that it's like 80% of people that have been sexually assaulted don't report. And I would like to encourage anyone that's been through that, please report. Because it's very important. I know it's hard, and I know you face people that might not believe you, and you have to go through a lot to get that evidence, and you have to go through the kit, and you have to talk about it a lot, and you have to face people that might not believe you, but please report it, because those kinds of people that that are actual criminals, that actually commit those crimes, they are very dangerous, and somebody else can get assaulted. Somebody else may get assaulted or even killed or hurt worse. And I'm not saying that that's not bad. Sexual assault is one of the worst things that can happen to someone. I'm just saying, please report it. Not just to protect everybody else, but also to get justice for yourself. You deserve justice. You deserve you deserve to see that through. And if you don't have support, reach out. There are people out there that will support you. There are domestic violence hotlines, and we can put that up there. There are sexual assault hotlines that we can put up on the Facebook page. Reach out, please. You are not alone. And like I said before, I'm moving towards this advocate position. I'm working towards finding a way to be an advocate for those that are disabled, that are going through these kinds of situations on both sides of the coin. And another thing I'd like to point out in this situation is I myself am a disabled woman, and I am married to an amazing man. Like I've said before, he's incredible. A lot of times, it's either 75 or 85, I can't remember, so don't quote me on this percentage, but it's a very high percentage of people that are disabled that are married to an able-bodied person are in an abusive situation. Not always physically abusive, but a lot of times emotionally, mentally abusive situation. Their spouse is mistreating them in some way, and it happens way more often than not. And so those of us that are disabled, if any of you are in that situation, just know there are people out there that will help you through that. And if you need to find somebody and you don't have anyone, reach out to me. I will help you find an advocate or someone to help you through that. But nobody deserves to be treated that way. And a disability does not give anybody a right to mistreat you. And nobody deserves to be in that situation, no matter what. And a disability does not make you less than. A disability makes you special in many ways. I know personally myself, my illness and my disability has given me a heart that I would not have if I were an able-bodied human being. And it has opened up doors for me to help others and be there for others in ways that I would not be able to be. It has made me stronger in ways that I would not be, and strong enough to withstand some pretty terrible people, but also strong enough to help others through that. So like I said, Joel put up the domestic abuse hotline right there. Reach out if you need that. And also, if you are alone in this, find somebody. And if it needs to be me, I'm okay with that. Reach out to me. We will get you to the people you need. Just know you are not alone if you're going through any of these situations, whether you are a victim of abuse, sexual abuse, you're a victim of domestic violence, or you're a victim of false allegations. Either way, reach out. You are not alone. Jay said, "Dear victims of sexual assault, it is never your fault. You don't have any obligation to take accountability for anybody but yourself. The attacker did what they did. You didn't. The evil person did. They are the guilty one." Absolutely. 100%. Agree with you, Jay. So before we're done tonight, I wanted to give you some tips on how. Now, I am not a lawyer, and I'm not giving legal advice, but I wanted to read this story of a person who actually went through this, and he got a judgment against his ex-wife. So I just wanted to encourage those of you that might be going through this false allegation situation that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, especially those that have good lawyers and good friends and a good support system by your side. The power of false allegations of abuse is undeniable, but the story of Daryl Ginyard, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, gives hope to all fathers being denied their rights to see their children. Mr. Ginyard recently received an $852,000 judgment for his ex-wife's false allegations of sexual abuse to their daughters. After one of his ex-wife's false allegations, Daryl was prohibited from seeing his children for 9 months. This was after several other shorter periods of time in which he was denied access to his daughters until after the police and the child welfare workers had determined that the abuse allegations were groundless. You can imagine the effect the disruption, questioning, and the absence of their father had on Daryl's daughters. Mr. Ginyard lost his job when the Human Resources Department for the bank where he worked received an anonymous call regarding the sexual assault charges that were being investigated. After 6 years of doing all that he could to defend himself, Daryl was granted full custody of his children with reasonable visitation awarded to his ex-wife. Since she isn't exercising her visitation rights, however, because she is serving a 14-year sentence behind bars for being convicted of filing false reports on her ex-husband. So here you go. Listen to that. You hear that? He fought for 6 years and he won. Not only did he prove his innocence, he proved that she knowingly filed false reports, that she knowingly lied, and she not only was fined a crap load of money, but she also was put in prison for this, and he also got full custody of his kids. So dads out there going through this, keep fighting because it is possible. Keep fighting for your kids. Keep your eye on your children. Nothing else. Don't respond to the crap. Don't respond to the hate. Do not fight back emotionally. Focus on the goal, and that is your children, and that is it. Fight for your children. And again, a lot of the stories I read, these fathers said, well, I don't want to do what she's doing to me. I don't want to take my kids away from her. That's, in my opinion, a woman who's willing to do this to their children or harming their children, willingly harming their child or children over and over again just to hurt you. So if you are a stable parent, they need to be with you. So keep fighting for your children. Please do not leave them in the hands of somebody that would emotionally and mentally abuse them. And that's what this is. By pushing their children to lie, by putting their children through this, it is abuse. Please fight for your kids. And that is one of the major things I want you to get from that. Fight for your kids. Kelly says, I hear ya. It's just a nightmare. Jay said, these poor children, terrible. Well said, exactly. You have 28 people watching now. Wow, you go, girl. Oh, thanks, Kelly. Yeah. So if you're going through something like that, I am not a lawyer, but please contact a lawyer. Get people in your corner. Get your support system going. Focus on the end goal. Do not react emotionally. Just focus on the end goal. And those of you that are true victims of this and you feel like the system isn't working for you, find an advocate. If you need an advocate, fight for that advocate. Do your research. Find your support system. Have people help you through this. You are not alone. And seeing how messed up the system is, it really pisses me off. So check out our Pissed Off Patriot line before we go. And I hope you guys have an awesome night and a great week. And stay kind to one another. And I'll see you next week.